There comes a moment in the life of every soul when the weight of scarcity presses upon us with an almost unbearable insistence. It whispers in the quiet hours that we are not enough, that our means are limited, that the doors we long for will remain closed. Yet, it is precisely in this place of scarcity, in the narrow corridors where hope seems faint, that a divine current begins to stir. Soft at first, almost imperceptible, but gradually gathering strength until it sweeps through every corner of our lives, turning what we believe to be insufficiency into a reservoir of abundance, beyond our wildest expectation. Consider for a moment the way winter prepares the soil. The frost bites, the ground hardens, and yet beneath that frozen surface, life is quietly arranging itself, organizing itself, readying for a spring that will surprise even the most skeptical heart. Scarcity, in the spiritual economy, functions much like this frost. It is not punishment, nor is it a sign of abandonment. Rather, it is a careful, meticulous orchestration, a moment in which the invisible hand of providence is quietly preparing you for a harvest that the mind alone cannot imagine. We often look at our lack and see only limitation. We see empty accounts, unfinished projects, unmet desires, and we despair. Yet the truth is that scarcity is rarely a final word. It is a prelude. It is the quiet preamble to a story in which provision flows in ways that defy human calculation. Imagine a child standing before a banquet, unable to comprehend that the morsels of bread in his hands are sufficient, that a feast is waiting to unfold. That child is like us, often blind to the larger design. The universe, in its subtle wisdom, does not give all at once. To give all at once would overwhelm the fragile vessel of the human heart. Instead, it begins with the small, the almost imperceptible, and allows the heart to grow in trust, to recognize the hand that is working unseen, to learn patience in expectation. There is a strange kind of alchemy that occurs when faith encounters scarcity. What appears as emptiness becomes a canvas for the miraculous. The river that runs dry in one season does not cease to exist. It only waits for the rains. And so it is with our lives. When we encounter the barrenness of circumstance, it is not the end of provision but the beginning of revelation. Every limitation, every closed door, every moment when we feel deprived is a space for imagination to meet grace. It is in the absence of visible abundance that the invisible currents are strongest, moving, shaping, and orchestrating a future richer than our most fervent desires. Do not be deceived by appearances. The mind, trained in the logic of scarcity, will tell you that your smallness defines the limits of your life. It will measure your possibilities with the ruler of what you can see and touch. But the heart that trusts in divine wisdom knows otherwise. It knows that provision does not always arrive in forms we expect. It may come as a person, as a book, as an opportunity, as a word whispered in the darkness of prayer. It may arrive through channels so subtle that only the attentive soul can perceive it. And when it comes, it does not merely fill the gaps, it transforms them. What was once scarcity becomes abundance. What was once limitation becomes the very soil from which your greatest achievements will grow. Consider the story of the loaves and fishes, of the seemingly insufficient resources that multiplied when placed into willing hands. This is not merely a tale of old, it is a principle etched into the fabric of existence. The universe, or the hand that guides it, does not measure by our sense of adequacy, but by the measure of faith, of willingness, of surrender. Abundance is not a question of arithmetic, it is a question of receptivity. When we offer what little we have, when we surrender the illusion of control, the unseen forces respond. They do not merely meet our needs, they exceed them, often in ways so extraordinary that our minds struggle to contain them. It is essential, then, to recognize the sacredness of waiting, the divinity inherent in patience. Scarcity tests the spirit, yes, but it also purifies it. It strips away reliance on the familiar, the comfortable, the tangible, and it compels the soul to reach toward the invisible. It teaches a rhythm of trust, a cadence of expectation, a discipline of hope that cannot be learned in abundance. For in abundance the heart becomes complacent. In scarcity, It becomes alert, attuned to whispers, sensitive to subtle currents, ready for the moment when provision breaks through in a torrent of grace. Abundance, when it arrives, is never merely material. It is spiritual, emotional, intellectual. It expands the soul as much as it fills the hands. It is a revelation that the universe, in its mysterious wisdom, is infinitely richer than we dared imagine. The scarcity we endured was never a wall but a doorway. It was never a punishment but an invitation. And the moment we recognize this, the moment we begin to see limitation as preparation, fear as a teacher, and emptiness as the canvas for creation, we step into a rhythm that transforms every lack into a source of fulfillment. Notice how the smallest acts, the tiniest seeds of effort, can trigger a cascade of abundance. A kind word spoken when no one listens may ripple in ways unseen, returning to you as opportunity. A faithful step taken when doors seem closed may open corridors you never dreamed existed. Every act of integrity, every moment of courage in scarcity plants a seed. And seeds, though invisible at first, do not remain dormant forever. They push through the soil, they reach for the sun, and they multiply. What was once insufficient becomes more than sufficient. What was once empty becomes a vessel overflowing. It is not unusual for human beings to misinterpret the pattern. We demand immediate evidence, tangible signs, clear and measurable proof. And yet, the nature of abundance is that it often transcends our linear expectations. It flows where we cannot see it. It works in ways we cannot anticipate. It manifests at moments that surprise us most profoundly. If one could see the entirety of the design, one might despair at the seeming delay. But trust lies precisely in the unseen, in the understanding that scarcity is a shadow, cast by the contours of abundance waiting to arrive. Even in moments of despair, when the heart cries and the hands are empty, there is a quiet work unfolding. Like an artist shaping clay, the divine hand molds our circumstances, rearranges the apparent insufficiency, and readies it for a transformation. Sometimes the abundance will be immediate, tangible. Other times it will come gradually, like slow swelling of a river fed by hidden springs. But always it comes. Always it exceeds what we imagine. Always it reveals that scarcity was never the truth, merely the perception, the veil that hides the miracle until we are ready to receive it. It is remarkable, if one pauses to reflect, how scarcity teaches humility and discernment. It teaches the heart to recognize the difference between need and desire, between what is fleeting and what endures. In the empty spaces of life, we learn the subtle art of dependence, not dependence upon circumstance, nor upon human power, but upon the invisible stream that carries life, provision, and opportunity beyond expectation. And when we finally see it, when the first signs of abundance appear, they carry with them not only sustenance, but wisdom, insight, and gratitude that could never have been cultivated in a life of ease. The transformation from scarcity to abundance is not always immediately visible. Often it unfolds quietly, behind the scenes, in ways the human eye cannot perceive. Like the slow turning of the seasons, the work is subtle but relentless. Every closed door, every denied opportunity, every moment of seeming emptiness is a part of the invisible scaffolding, preparing the stage for a display of provision that astonishes the mind and uplifts the spirit. You may feel at times as though you are wandering in a desert, surrounded by barren sands with no oasis in sight. And yet, the desert itself is part of the design, a space where the soul learns to recognize the faintest whisper of water, the hidden spring beneath the surface, and to cultivate patience and faith. The scarcity you experience is never arbitrary. It is purposeful, intentional, and ultimately temporary. It is crucial, therefore, to cultivate an eye for the subtle signs of abundance in the making. A chance encounter may carry a lesson that will later blossom into opportunity. A conversation that seems trivial may plant a seed of insight that becomes a key to unlocking prosperity. The moment you recognize that the universe is working quietly, rearranging, preparing, and aligning circumstances, You begin to see scarcity differently. You begin to understand that what appears as lack is often a precursor to surplus. What seems as limitation is often the prelude to liberation. In that awareness, the heart finds calm, the mind finds clarity, and the soul opens to receive that which surpasses human expectation. One of the most profound lessons of scarcity is that it teaches us the art of stewardship. When resources are limited, we are compelled to handle them with care, to value them beyond their face value, and to use them with intention. And when abundance arrives, it does so not as a flood that overwhelms, but as a river whose currents have been anticipated and navigated by the hands that were trained in scarcity. This is the paradox. Scarcity prepares us for abundance. It equips us with the discernment, resilience, and gratitude that allow us not merely to receive provision, but to sustain it, to multiply it, and to share it in ways that extend its impact far beyond our own lives. Consider the way the tiniest streams carve valleys in stone over time. At first, the effect is imperceptible. The stone seems unyielding, solid, immovable. Yet the stream, consistent, persistent, patient, gradually shapes the landscape in ways that seem miraculous when viewed in hindsight. So it is with the currents of abundance. They begin in small, almost invisible ways. An opportunity here, a connection there, a timely insight, a fleeting moment of generosity. But over time, their impact becomes undeniable. What was once barren is transformed. What was once meager is multiplied. What was once scarcity is rendered into overflowing abundance. Faith then becomes the lens through which we interpret scarcity. It allows us to see not merely the immediate lack, but the potential hidden within it. It teaches us that limitation is not finality, and that emptiness is not the end. In this perspective, the empty hand is a symbol not of defeat, but of expectation. The quiet heart is not despairing, but attentive. The waiting soul is not idle, but prepared, alert to the subtle orchestration of forces beyond comprehension. And when abundance arrives, it is never merely functional, it is transformative. It reshapes the very character of the recipient, expanding vision, deepening gratitude, and cultivating a generosity that mirrors the source from which it comes. It is important to note that abundance does not always appear in the form we imagine. We often define wealth in terms of tangible resources, money, property, possessions. Yet the truest abundance encompasses more than material goods. It flows into the mind, enriching understanding. It flows into the heart, expanding love and compassion. It flows into the spirit, deepening wisdom, courage, and resilience. And when these forms of abundance converge with material provision, they create a harmony so profound that life itself feels transformed, elevated, and infused with purpose. The scarcity we endure, then, is never a measure of our inadequacy, but a crucible for the manifestation of a far greater, multidimensional abundance than we ever dreamed possible. There are moments, of course, when the human heart struggles with doubt, the weight of unmet needs, delayed dreams, and repeated obstacles can cloud vision and harden faith. Yet it is precisely in these moments that the invisible currents are strongest, quietly converging, patiently waiting for the heart to release fear and embrace trust. Desperation may shake the spirit, but it can also awaken a hidden wreck. Activity. When the heart, stripped of all pretense and self-sufficiency, opens fully to the possibility of divine provision, scarcity becomes the soil in which the seeds of abundance flourish. It is in the empty hand, the waiting heart, and the patient soul that the miracle finds its perfect home. Even more, the transformation from scarcity to abundance carries a contagious power. It does not merely benefit the individual who receives it. Like sunlight scattering over a landscape, it illuminates and nourishes everything around it. Opportunities multiply, relationships deepen, creativity flourishes. The abundance intended for one life becomes a conduit for abundance in others. Every act of generosity, every decision to trust when scarcity looms, every step taken in faith, creates ripples that extend far beyond what the mind can measure or the eye can see. In this way, scarcity is not merely personal, it is universal in its teaching, preparing the individual to participate in a broader, interconnected flow of life and provision. One must also recognize the mysterious joy that comes with abundance. It is not the joy of mere accumulation, nor the fleeting satisfaction of desire fulfilled. It is a joy born of recognition. Recognition that the scarcity endured was not arbitrary, that the trials faced were purposeful, that the delays experienced were orchestrated for maximum impact. This joy is profound because it carries within it both gratitude and humility. It reminds the soul that abundance is never owed, never guaranteed, and that the hands that receive must also be the hands that give. In this rhythm of receiving and sharing, scarcity and abundance are not opposites but companions, each giving meaning and texture to the other. It is worth contemplating the quiet ways in which abundance often arrives. It may come as a solution to a problem long thought intractable, as an unexpected connection that opens doors, as a timely provision that rescues from difficulty. Sometimes it arrives in the form of a shift in perception, a sudden clarity, a realignment of priorities that turns an apparent deficiency into a newfound strength. The heart that remains attentive, that refuses to despair in the presence of lack, recognizes these moments as the subtle work of forces beyond comprehension, aligning, preparing, and multiplying in ways designed to surpass expectation. We are often tempted to rush, to demand immediate results, to seek visible proof before allowing ourselves to believe. Yet the principle of abundance operates on a different clock, a rhythm that the impatient heart cannot always understand. The forces that turn scarcity into abundance are deliberate, methodical, and precise. They honor the small, nurture the fragile, and prepare the vessel before the provision. And so, patience is not merely a virtue but a necessity. It is the discipline by which we align ourselves with the natural flow of transformation, the rhythm through which scarcity becomes abundance, the conduit by which expectation matures into reality. As the journey unfolds, one begins to perceive a pattern. Scarcity is never permanent. Lack is never final. Every empty season, every moment of limitation is a prelude, a quiet work in progress, a step toward a reality so rich that it transcends calculation. And when that abundance finally arrives, it is never as we imagined, nor merely sufficient. It is overflowing, surprising, and transformative. It fills not only our needs but our understanding, our character, and our capacity to participate in the flourishing of others. Scarcity, then, is the silent architect, abundance the revelation of its careful design. There is a remarkable consistency in the way scarcity prepares the soul for abundance. It teaches discernment, patience, and attentiveness, qualities that are often overlooked in times of plenty. When everything comes easily, the heart tends to harden, taking for granted the gifts it receives. But in the crucible of lack, the human spirit learns to notice subtleties, to treasure the smallest provision, to understand that every opportunity, every blessing is part of a larger design. Scarcity, therefore, is not merely an obstacle, it is an invisible teacher, guiding us to a deeper understanding of the nature of provision, of patience, and of the unseen forces that work quietly to bring about abundance beyond expectation. Abundance often arrives in forms that challenge our imagination. It may not come as a grand, unmistakable event, but as a series of small, interconnected moments that, in retrospect, reveal themselves as miraculous. A chance meeting with a stranger, a timely word of encouragement, a door that opens when least expected. All these are threads in the tapestry of provision, and when woven together, they create a pattern that is both beautiful and beyond human comprehension. The key, therefore, is vigilance, to remain awake to the subtle movements of grace, to recognize opportunities disguised as ordinary events, and to respond with readiness and faith. Faith is the instrument that transforms scarcity into abundance. Without it, the limitations of circumstance appear absolute, the empty space is unyielding, and the mind cannot perceive the currents of possibility flowing beneath the surface. Faith, however, allows us to see beyond what is immediately visible, to trust in the hidden work of providence, and to act in alignment with the expectation that abundance is already in motion. It is through faith that the smallest resources, the seemingly insufficient talents, and the fleeting moments of opportunity are multiplied into far-reaching impact. The heart that embraces. Faith becomes a magnet for provision, drawing into itself what would otherwise remain beyond reach. Consider the way a seed germinates. At first it appears dormant, lifeless, buried beneath soil, hidden from view. Yet within it, life is quietly stirring, preparing for emergence. Scarcity operates in a similar fashion within human experience. The apparent emptiness is the soil in which potential is incubated. Every limitation, every trial, every moment of waiting is part of the preparation for a life of overflow. And when the time is right, what seemed dormant bursts forth with vigor, surprising even the one who has tended it with patience and faith. The empty season, therefore, is not to be feared but embraced, for it is the crucible in which abundance is forged. It is important to recognize that the transformation from scarcity to abundance is rarely instantaneous. It is a process, a gradual unfolding, a series of alignments and adjustments that culminate in provision beyond expectation. The mind, conditioned by impatience, often struggles with this slow rhythm. It demands immediate evidence, tangible proof, visible results. Yet the nature of abundance is that it operates according to a divine timing, a rhythm that is deliberate and measured. To resist or rush this process is to miss the fullness of the gift. Patience, therefore, is not merely a virtue, it is a necessity, a conduit through which scarcity is transmuted into abundance. The beauty of abundance lies not only in what it provides materially, but also in how it transforms the inner life. It reshapes perception, expands vision, and cultivates gratitude. The one who has endured scarcity and emerged into abundance carries a depth of understanding that is inaccessible to the life of uninterrupted ease. They recognize the value of each provision, the significance of each opportunity, and the miraculous nature of each unfolding event. In this way, abundance is not merely external, it is internal, enriching the mind, the heart, and the soul in ways that multiply its impact far beyond the immediate sphere. One cannot underestimate the subtle ways in which scarcity fosters creativity and resourcefulness. When resources are limited, the human spirit is compelled to think beyond conventional solutions, to imagine possibilities that would otherwise remain invisible. The mind stretches, the heart grows bold, and the spirit discovers reserves of strength and ingenuity previously untapped. And when abundance finally arrives, it is not merely a fulfillment of need, but the flowering of potential that scarcity alone could cultivate. It is as though scarcity serves as both sculptor and teacher, shaping the individual to receive and multiply the abundance that is coming. Abundance, when it arrives, often defies expectation. It is larger, richer, and more surprising than the mind could predict. It may manifest in ways entirely different from the original desire, yet perfectly aligned with the true needs of the soul. The pattern is always consistent. Scarcity prepares, patience aligns, faith sustains, and provision arrives in a form that surpasses expectation. And the one who has learned to walk through scarcity with trust and attentiveness is uniquely equipped to receive it, to steward it, and to extend it to others. In reflecting upon the journey from lack to overflow, one must also consider the role of perspective. Scarcity in itself is not inherently negative, it is perception that gives it weight. To view limitation as defeat is to miss the hidden opportunity, the silent work of preparation, and the subtle shaping that scarcity provides. When the mind adopts a perspective of expectation rather than despair, of trust rather than fear, the experience of scarcity transforms. It beckons as a signpost, a guide, and a teacher, pointing toward abundance and revealing the rhythms of providence that operate beyond human comprehension. There is a profound joy in witnessing scarcity give way to abundance. It is a joy that transcends the simple satisfaction of need fulfilled. It is a joy infused with awe, gratitude, and recognition of the intricate design that orchestrated the transformation. This joy is deepened by the memory of the empty hands, the waiting heart, and the moments of patient trust. It is a joy that carries within it humility, a recognition that abundance is never owed, never guaranteed, and always a gift beyond merit. And it is in this joy that the soul fully grasps the magnitude of the shift from lack to overflow, understanding that the scarcity endured was an integral part of the journey, shaping the capacity to receive and multiply the provision that arrives. Every act of faith, every step taken in trust, every moment of patience during scarcity contributes to the unfolding of abundance. Like a river fed by countless streams, the work of preparation converges, gaining strength and momentum until it cannot be contained. Opportunities multiply, relationships deepen, and the life of the one who has trusted expands in ways that are both visible and invisible. The scarcity that once defined the experience becomes a distant memory, a necessary chapter in a story that culminates in provision beyond imagination. It is remarkable how abundance often begins in the smallest gestures: a word spoken, a seed planted, a choice made in faith. These humble acts, repeated and nurtured, create ripples that ultimately lead to overflow. The smallest flicker of trust in the midst of scarcity can ignite a chain reaction, drawing resources, opportunities, and connections into alignment. What seemed trivial or insufficient becomes the foundation for extraordinary transformation. This is the paradox of abundance. It emerges from humility, patience, and trust, rather than from force, control, or immediate gratification. The journey from scarcity to abundance also carries a lesson in gratitude. The one who has walked through lack develops a sensitivity to provision, a recognition of value in ways that ease alone cannot cultivate. Every blessing is received with awareness, every gift honored, every opportunity cherished. Gratitude becomes a lens through which abundance is perceived, not merely as fulfillment, but as a revelation of the care, wisdom, and intentionality that have shaped the journey. In this awareness, abundance transcends utility and becomes a source of spiritual enrichment, joy, and growth. Even the challenges encountered along the way serve a purpose. Obstacles, setbacks, and disappointments refine the character, strengthen resolve, and deepen insight. They act as catalysts, compelling the soul to look beyond the surface, to seek hidden currents of provision, and to cultivate resilience. Scarcity, therefore, is never wasted. Every trial, every limitation, every moment of waiting is a seed of potential, a preparation for abundance that will arrive in its appointed time. The heart that recognizes this moves through scarcity with dignity, hope, and unwavering trust, knowing that the universe, or the unseen hand guiding it, is orchestrating a future of extraordinary provision. It is essential to understand that abundance is not a finite resource. The more it is received and shared, the more it multiplies. This is the principle by which scarcity transforms. The limits imposed by perception are broken when the heart acts in faith and generosity. The provision that arrives is not merely to meet immediate need, but to create a flow that touches many lives, extending far beyond the individual and contributing to a greater, interconnected abundance. This is the secret of overflowing provision. It is always relational, always expansive, and always beyond expectation. The one who has endured scarcity and emerged into abundance carries a responsibility as well as a blessing. To hoard, to resist sharing, or to take for granted the provision received diminishes its power. But to steward it wisely, to extend it generously, and to multiply it through acts of service, creativity, and generosity magnifies its impact. The lessons learned in scarcity, patience, attentiveness, humility, and faith become the tools for sustaining abundance and extending it to others. In this way, the transformation from lack to overflow becomes not only personal but communal, creating a legacy that outlives the individual and shapes the lives of countless others. And so, as you stand at the threshold of what once seemed impossible, remember this: scarcity was never your end, but the quiet architect of your abundance. Every limitation you faced, every moment of waiting, every trial endured, has been preparing you for a life that overflows beyond expectation. Open your hands, open your heart, and step into the fullness that has been carefully orchestrated for you. What was once empty will now overflow, what was once delayed will now arrive, and what was once hidden will now shine with clarity and purpose. Trust the unseen currents, embrace the timing, and walk forward with faith. For God is turning your scarcity into abundance in ways that will astonish your mind, uplift your spirit, and transform your life forever.